Well, it's a good time when I can say, welcome, Spike Odell.
Is that you, Steve Cochran? Is
the
that
big
you?
brother, the big brother I never asked for. How are you, my friend?
I'm well. How are you?
It's great to see you. Let's do the family catch up first. How many grandkids are we up to?
Are we in a base 10 scoring system here?
Yes.
Eight. Eight.
Eight.
My daughter remarried last year. I told you that. She married
Yeah.
a golf pro. A
A
golf
golf
pro.
pro. A golf pro, right?
Three lessons, which I haven't taken advantage of yet. But we got three little sweet little girls in that.
Wow.
So we're up to eight now.
And what's the age range?
All the way from 5 to just about 16. I've been teaching the big boys how to drive this summer.
Wow. Wow. You lived through it. You lived through it.
Actually, they're doing pretty good. So.
And they're in Nashville. I know you miss Chicago, but they're in Nashville. You got a pretty good 4-season life there too.
Yeah, it's the seasons are not like Chicago. You know, it will get cold occasionally. If it cold here is 20 degrees. Occasionally it gets down to a single digit, but cold
Yeah.
20 days for 2 or 3 days, and then it's 45, 50. That's
Yeah.
what it is most of the
Yeah.
winter season here.
Yeah. Why leave? How's your country album coming along? You going to finish it?
Yeah. I still, I can't get. I wanted Beyonce to do a bit part, but she's hard to work with.
There she is. Everybody says that. All right. So this is called Anything But Politics. And the premise, Spike, is this.
Good, because it wouldn't last long.
Yeah, right. For either one of us. But the premise is everybody needs a break from the politics. That's all people talk about, yell at each other about, argue about. So we talk about anything but politics. And in the case of this, I would normally give you 4 or 5 stories that aren't getting covered because of all the political nonsense that's out there. But I don't even want to do that. I just want to talk to you about stuff that you and I, over the course of our friendship for, well, it's 25 years, and we've known each other longer than that. I've told the story many times about how we met on a golf course and we both eyed each other like we were prey across a prairie because that's the way it used to be, boys and girls. The competition didn't like each other, but then we turned out to be great pals. And I loved working with you all those years. It was an honor. And I miss you. I do. I miss you. I miss seeing you.
You make me laugh.
Well, that's a good
in the
thing.
Middle of all, you just, I don't know how your mind is sharp as a tack, and even when it's not funny, I laugh. So
sharp or wrong, one or the other.
Yeah.
I want to go in reverse order here. So let me start with the Cubs, because a boy from Iowa like you, I don't know anybody that loved the Cubs any more than you. And we lost one of the greats. That Cubs heaven baseball team is getting better, and we're the losers because Rhino has moved on. Ryan Sandberg, I'm sure everybody knows by now, but Ryan Sandberg passed after battling cancer. A couple of your favorite Cubs stories. Now, you and I could swap Santo stories forever. The great Ron Santo was nothing but entertainment and a fabulous guy. But Rhino was a tough interview, and not because he was a jerk. He just didn't like talking to guys like you and me.
He's just a real quiet guy. He was no nonsense. He just wanted to play ball. All the other glitz. He got better as he aged.
He did.
He enjoyed the fact that people just adored him, and he never turned down an autograph. He got into it a little bit more afterwards, but while he was playing, he was just heads down and playing ball.
How good was he?
Oh my gosh, his best I've ever seen at second base. I know there's a lot of good ones. Everybody could argue that with me, but Hall of Fame speaks for itself. I've seen him do things on certain days that you just never would. You'd think you'd never seen before. So, and I went to a lot of games up there, working that afternoon shift. I'd go up there, but that was right in his heyday. So he was, without a doubt, one of the best, without a doubt.
And he and Joe Morgan are the two guys that jump to mind for guys that could play second base, which is a position you think, well, it's got to be a little guy. He's got to be fast, lateral movement and stuff. But they both had great power. Morgan might have been a little bit faster. Rhino's glove was just as good. I mean, those guys could play.
Rhino, I always taught my son, Michael. Michael was a pretty good little ball player.
Yeah.
He went to high school, went to the state championship tournament at first base. But I taught him infield because I played a little ball. I was never all that good, but I taught him the Ryan Sandberg ground ball method, which was the mousetrap. We called it a mousetrap. He would put the glove on the ground, and his hand would be right here. The ball would come to it, Actually, it was the other way around, and the ball would hit the glove,
And he'd slap it on top,
trap and snap. And what was good about that, your hand was right there to take it out,
pull it out and
and
throw it.
throw it.
Wow.
That's every time I hit a ground ball to Michael growing up when he was 6'7".
He did the mousetrap.
We go mousetrap. Oh,
That's very cool.
He played first base at Wabanzi his senior year. Started every game, never made an error.
Yeah, because of the mousetrap. Well, you taught him. You taught him, and Rhino taught him. I'm going to go out of order again here a little bit, even though I want to end with Santo. I'll tell you a quick story about Santo in Little League. I was coaching Ross, my son, in Little League, and he's 10 or 11 years old. And he made 3 errors in a game and cost the game, and he was devastated, just completely devastated. So I was at Wrigley, and I mentioned to Santo. I said, yeah, he made 3 errors, third base. He felt terrible. He goes, give me his number. I go, well, he's 10. He doesn't have a phone. He goes, well, just have him be around when I can call him and set it up. So a couple of days later, I come home. I'd forgotten about it. And I see Ross sitting on the couch going, well, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, thank you, sir. And he hangs up the phone. And I go, who is that? He goes, it was Ron Santo. Did you know he made 4 errors in a game? And he felt great, right? He felt completely great. So it's a week after that, I see Santo at Wrigley. I go, I can't thank you enough for what you did for Ross. It was such a cool thing. I go, but I don't remember you making 4 errors. He goes, I didn't make 4 errors. I just told him that to feel better.
That's right. That's right.
That's Santo, man. That was Santo. Oh, now, you and I were so fortunate in all those years at WGN to get to know the people we got to know. And I loved Ernie Banks. Ernie Banks was not only a Hall of Famer and one of the all-time greats, he was a very curious, intelligent guy who, for whatever reason, growing up as a black kid from the South, felt like he couldn't show that side necessarily. But I know he did it to you, and he did it to me. He'd come in one day, he'd be talking about astronomy. The next time he came in to be talking about, European politics, whatever the case may be. He was really a fascinating guy.
He and I did a thing together when the Cubs had the minor league team in Rockford. They asked me to MC it, and Ernie Banks was one of the guests. So it was me and Ernie kind of cutting the ribbon to the Rockford Cubs.
Sure. On
their first game. And I always remember there's all this media around us, and actually, for Ernie. And they'd ask Ernie a question, not necessarily baseball, but whatever. And he'd say a little something, and he'd turn to me and say, Spike O'Dell, what do you think about that? And I go, well, then I had to make something up,
Right. Right.
Like 5 or 6 times. Spike O'Dell, what do you think about that?
That's right.
Well, let me tell you, Ernie, back in my day when I was playing ball 6, 7 weeks, I.
Do you remember this? Because this was his move as well. At thousands and thousands of people. And he'd meet people all the time. And you get this, and I would get this as well, where somebody would come up and go, you don't remember me, and I met you wherever. And no, sorry, you meet a lot of people, you don't. But in Ernie's case, imagine the people that come up, you don't remember. And he'd always do this. I saw this a million times. He'd go, no, are you kidding me? Of course I remember you. How's your sister? And at least, 50% of the time, he'd be right. And they'd go, my sister's great. Thanks for asking. Yeah. He was a trip.
Those are little tricks. It's like when you in radio, as were, and we meet hundreds of people a week, thousands over the year, and then they come back and they see you 4 months later, and they say, "Hey, Spike," and I go, "Hey, buddy." Buddy's a good one.
Yeah, buddy is good.
Or, "Hey, partner."
Partner, you pulled partner out beautifully. Partner, you had partner in your pocket.
Yeah, I couldn't remember anybody's name. I remember their face, but I was never good with a name. So, buddy or big boy. Hey, big boy.
Big boy. Yeah, I might have gotten that a couple times. Yeah. So tell me about the Cubs. Through all those years on GN with the Cubs, who were you most excited to meet and get to know and stuff? And did you ever get jaded about it?
Ron Santo.
Yeah.
I grew up, there's no question, a lot of great players, but Ron was, I grew up with number 10 on my back since I was a little kid, played third base, Little League, high school, a little bit of college, always wore number 10. My dad loved Ron Santo, and I drive around the schoolyard when I was a kid with my Stingray bicycle with a big old boombox transistor radio on the handlebars
Sure.
with a scorebook, and I would score every Cubs game,
How
whoever
about
they were
that?
playing,
Yeah.
and then go play ball. So I remember Dad would take us up to Wrigley Field a couple times a year. It was a 3-hour drive from the Quad Cities. One time I went down close and Ron was right there. And I was too chicken to talk to him. But I could see him. He was, just 4 feet away from me.
He's Ron Santo.
I thought, my gosh, it's Ron Santo. So for him, when I first got to WGN, they put me in the Randy Hundley Fantasy Camp, which was at Wrigley Field. It wasn't a week-long camp. It was a 3-day camp.
Oh, they weren't doing the Arizona thing then?
Well, they were, but they did one a year at Wrigley.
Okay, got it.
They did a 3-day thing. And Ron was my coach. I thought I'd died and gone to heaven. It's going to sound like I'm braggadocious here. I was pretty good defensive third baseman in my day, high school, college. And Ron figured that out. A lot of those guys are just old guys that want to hang out with their heroes.
Sure. Right.
But he knew I had a little game. I wasn't great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a great ball player, but I had a little game. And I hit me fungos at third base.
Come on.
And I'd practice. I'd field them. I'd throw it over to first base. And I started noticing, man, he's putting some heat on those fungos. He's drilling them. And after a while, I said, man, Ron, dude. And then he started laughing. He says, I just want to see how far you can go, how much you can pick those up. But
how about that?
Yeah. So that was cool.
He was such a good guy, and I think most people don't know that he played his entire career as a diabetic. And you saw this, the millions and millions of dollars he raised for the Juvenile Diabetes Foundation and WGN. We were a big part of that every year, promoting that. But I always saw him do the same thing, and it was a personal connection every time where he'd get down at a little kid's level. Even after he lost one leg and both legs, he'd still find a way to get down at their level. And he'd look at them and he'd say, listen to your doctors, monitor your levels, do the right thing. And he would say, you don't have to end up like this. And he'd point at where his legs were. And, I'd be choked up and stuff. But even if the little kids didn't know him, they knew their dad did or their grandfather did or their grandmother, whatever the case may be. And it meant something to them. So I think it's important for people to know, and I know you back me up on this, he was as good a guy as you would hope he would be.
Absolutely. I'll give you a little trivia question. Spike O'Dell, Ron Santo trivia question. I was the last person to play golf with Ron when he had the use of both legs.
Is that right?
And I can tell that was probably going to be the last time. Yeah. But, and then after he had his leg amputated, I'd say, Ronnie, you always beat me. I said, you want to play golf now? $50? He says, Odell, I'll kick your ass with one leg.
Well, the other thing, too, is when I'd see him in the booth, he'd hold up. He would take, we're not kidding about this, and it's not a shot, and no one should be offended because it's Ron who was doing this.
Yeah.
He would have his artificial Cubs leg, his custom designed leg with the Cubs logo on it, next to him in the booth. It was uncomfortable, whatever. He'd take it off, right, in the game. And it's sitting there. And I go, when are we going to play golf? And he'd hold the leg up and he'd go, I get 6 shots for this one and 6 when I get the other one done.
I'll give you my favorite Ron Santos story. Give me 60 seconds.
Yeah, time, sure.
He had a heart attack. He had heart issues. And that was before the amputations. He had to go in and have a heart procedure done.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty significant. I believe it was a bypass or something pretty significant. So we were all pulling for him, and he had the surgery. And a 3 weeks later, he comes into the station, and he's walking down the hall, and everybody's, hey, Ronnie's back, yeah. Everybody's high-fiving this and that. He's got a small group around him. And I said to him, I said, Ron, were you afraid? Were you scared? He goes, oh, man. He says, I was really scared. He says, they were wheeling me into that surgery room, and I was really nervous, really scared. He says, I'm not really a real religious guy, but I I just thought, well, I'm going to try to pray. I don't know how to pray, but I'll try to say a prayer. So he said, well, I said, well, what'd you say, Ron? He said, well, I said, hey, God, if today's my last day and if I die, thanks a lot. It's been a great life. I've had a great run and enjoyed it. But if it's all the same to you, I sure would like to play a couple more innings.
Wow. How great is that?
He just roared, I'd like to play a couple more innings.
How great is that?
Yeah, it was very cool. Very cool.
I don't know that a lot of people know this, even folks who know the name, who might not necessarily be Cubs fans, but he lost his parents
Yeah.
when he was a minor leaguer, wasn't it? Or was he Cubs by then?
He was, yeah. I think he was a rookie out of Scottsdale. They were driving down to see him. They were killed in a car accident. Yeah.
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 And I got to, and one of the most difficult moments I ever had on the air at WGN was his first go around for the Hall of Fame. And of course, they put him in the Hall of Fame posthumously because of the dumbasses no, me either. But you may remember this. When we all thought he was getting in, all the TV stations were at his house. ESPN was there, a bunch of other people. He gets the call and you just hear him go, okay, all right, okay. And he hangs up the phone. And we were live on the air and he goes, nah, Stevers, maybe next time. And I had a lump in my throat.
Yeah, I saw the video of that.
Brutal, just brutal.
Yeah, everybody had a lump in their throat. It was, I agree. I don't know why they gave it to him after he died, but well deserved. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the greats and one of the greats for Cubs fans, too. All the people we got to meet through all those years at GN, outside of sports, you ever get starstruck by anybody?
Starstruck? No. Not by sell, buy. You know what?
Don't worry about it. Yeah, don't worry about it. That's what editing's for.
My wife got it, I guess. Starstruck? No. Movie stars, they didn't. I guess Paul McCartney kind of set me back a little bit. I'm a big Beatles fan. I got to spend 30 seconds talking to him. That kind of.
Did he sign a guitar for you or something?
Yeah, two of them. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
Yeah.
I can remember one that I thought threw you a little bit.
Say what?
I can remember one guest that I thought threw you just a little bit.
Okay.
Elizabeth Hurley.
Yeah.
And by the way, in case you're wondering why, take a look at her. She's 60 years old. She looks like she's 30. She's stunning.
And she's tall. She had to bend down to come to my level to take a picture. It looks like
just crazy. Yeah, just beautiful.
Yeah. Starstruck, no, but I was, me in outer space.
Oh, yeah.
I was starstruck by the astronauts.
Sure.
The one that got me the most was, you would think it would be Buzz Armstrong. Not really. It was
Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin.
Yeah, Neil, but I never got to interview Neil. He's the only one that walked on the moon I never did. But Alan Shepard was the one that really starstruck me.
Original, The Right Stuff.
Yeah. He was a little guy. He was just, I don't know, he was 5'4", 5'5", but had a voice like this, real. Just no wonder they called him the Commander. We had a great hour on the air. I'll never forget that. You
were great with those guys. You introduced me to a few of them when they came through, and I got a chance to interview a few of them because of you. And they all were kind of NASCAR sized. And I guess it's because you're not going to be a linebacker and get into those capsules, right?
Right. Well, they picked them small early on. Yeah, absolutely right. And that's one that really kind of just I was a kid in the studio with him.
I would say that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that you actually formed a friendship, which goes to everybody's memory of the movie Apollo 13. The commander lived in Chicago forever. I'm not sure if he stayed in Chicago or not. Couldn't be more humble, couldn't be a better guy. And I'm talking about
Jim Lovell.
Yeah.
Jim, we weren't beer drinking buddies, but we became friends over the years. I helped him out with a couple of projects. I received the Failure is Not an Option award from Jim Lovell one year, so I was honored to get that. It was what a great guy too. He lived up in
phenomenal.
He had his son ran the restaurant Everest up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we were up there several times. He'd sit and talk with us for a while.
I don't remember the timeline of it. Did you talk to him in and around the time they were doing the movie when Tom Hanks was playing him?
No, it was afterwards.
Okay.
It was afterwards, yeah. But he would tell us a lot about what went on there in his little bit part in the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, those guys all are just incredible heroes, every single one of them. What do you think about going back? I mean, you are a space nut. What do you think about going back to space now and the privatization of it?
Actually, I like it.
You do?
I do. You can already see Elon Musk. For you may like him, you may hate him, but he's brought it to the point to where spacecraft boosters are all reusable. I watched them go up today. 4 astronauts. It's the sixth time that capsule's been up, and I think the 9th time the booster was launched, and it all comes back. That saves a lot of money.
Amazing.
And SpaceX can launch that thing on a fraction of what it costs NASA and the government to do. So kudos to them for that. So, and they're the best option we have right now.
And what about going back to the moon?
Well, I hope they do it. I'm not sure under the current administration it's going to happen as quickly as they want. But I just think once you stop exploring or learning new stuff, that's when you're done.
The science that came out of the Apollo years,
Yeah.
and before that as well, is incredible.
Oh,
The stuff that we have now because of what the astronauts did. And again, I mentioned Apollo 13, but you and I both know this. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, I'm holding up my phone. That's a Samsung S25. That phone has X times the number of computing power that they did on Apollo 13 when they got back alive.
Your Apple Watch can run circles around the computer that was on the Apollo landers that landed on the moon. So it's incredible. It's incredible.
It really is. And you told me a great story years ago. I don't even know if you'll remember this. I don't remember what it was, but you always had you knew when a satellite was coming back and falling out of the sky. You had tracked this stuff. You knew when there was space junk. You knew when there was something we ought to pay attention to. And you got up earlier than normal one morning, or maybe it was a weekend, but you drove out pitch black and you parked because you knew when this particular piece of space activity was coming back into our atmosphere. And it was sort of near Fermilab, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And
Well, can I stop
am I right? Yeah, go ahead, pick it up.
You're half right.
Okay.
It was a satellite with huge reflecting solar panels on the side that would reflect the sunlight back down to Earth. And if you knew exactly where to look and when to look, it would look like how an airplane turns and you get the headlight,
Sure.
maybe going into O'Hare or whatever. It's just a big whoosh of light, and then it fades out, and you're looking up there and whoa, what is that? And then it just goes away.
Right.
So I got out my slide rule and I figured out this was early on. They're called flares, and the satellite is about the size of a little Volkswagen Bug with these huge reflector solar panels. So I got out the slide rule. I figured out exactly where I thought I would be able to see it, at what time I was going to see it, and the skies were clear. So I told my wife I'm going to get in the car and drive out. It was out past Batavia. It was just a little bit west of the main road that goes up that way, and the road turned to gravel. So I drove out about a mile onto the gravel road. I had 10, 15 minutes to wait.
And it had to be pitch black, right? You wanted to find the darkest spot you could?
It had to be dusk.
Okay.
Yeah, it had to be pitch black, but getting pretty dark. So I pulled over to the side of the road, and I'm waiting. So I got out of the car. I got up on the hood, just sitting there waiting. I thought, man, I look funny here. I sure hope a cop doesn't come up. And 2 minutes later, a doggone DuPage County Sheriff's deputy pulls up right behind me, and I thought, oh boy. So he comes walking around, walks up to the front of the car, and he says, "Good evening." I said, "Hello, sir." He says, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm waiting for a spacecraft." And I didn't crack a smile. And
Did he know who you were? Did he recognize you?
no, I had no clue.
Okay. Okay.
So he said, really? He said, can I wait with you? I said, yeah, sure. He says, how long is it going to be? I said, well, just 2, 3 minutes away. He said, okay, I'll wait. I'll wait. And I tried to explain him real quick, just what I explained to you, what was happening. That it was, if we did this right, we'll see a big flash of light in the sky. And so it gets down to the moment, and I count it down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nothing happens. And then I'm about ready to stop. All of a sudden, whoosh, this big flash of light in the sky, like somebody turned on a powerful flashlight.
And the coolest thing he's ever seen, right?
And then it goes away, and he's looking like this. And he says, and I quote, well, I'll be damned.
I bet he still tells that story.
He says, I got to tell you, I thought you were a wacko. I said, yeah, a lot of people do, yeah.
Did he make, before you wrapped it up, did he make the connection who you were? Like you were going to, never did. Never did. So here's another question that goes to our time at GN. I did 16 years there, in 2 separate runs. You were there.
That long?
Well, I got fired twice. I was the only one to hold that distinction. But and you're 25? Is that right?
22.
22. 22 years. We're nice enough to have fans come up and say hi all the time. What's the strangest place you ever recognized?
Probably, over in Spain.
Really?
Yeah. We were over there.
It's kind of cool.
Walking down the street, and they came up and said, Spike?
I have two for you. And I know you had this. The men's room at Wrigley?
Well, yeah. That's an awkward one. Sure.
Yeah, because you're at the trough. Here's one that you don't know about, and it wasn't that long ago, but I was at the urologist, and I was, standing up and getting prepared to have the Moon River test, where, he snaps on the glove and you put your hands on the table and he gets to know you a little better. And as he was preparing to do that, I'm bent over, he's behind me, and he says, so you're Steve Cochran from WGN. And I said, what is it about the angle that helped you recognize me there? But I've got to say, the coolest thing about WGN fans for all those years was they had what I think was equity in the radio station. They felt like it was their radio station, and they didn't want you screwing around with it. They wanted you to respect it.
Yeah.
And if you respected it, it was great, but they'd certainly tell you if they thought you didn't respect it.
I learned that in a hurry, yeah.
Right? And we both we didn't grow up in Chicago. You grew up in Iowa. I grew up in upstate New York. But if you respected it and respected the legacy of it, they'd take you in as one of their own. And it was one of the great honors of my career by far.
When they did, they embraced you, yeah.
Yeah.
Can I give you another story of where I was recognized?
Of course.
Your doctor's story reminded me of this. I hope I don't get too graphic, okay?
That's all right. I'm a grown-up.
I had a pain in my side. It was really bothering me. So I go to the doctor, and he says, well, I want to schedule you for a lower GI and this or whatever, blah, 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 that one. So I go to the hospital. I don't like it. I'm nervous. Everybody that tells me they had it done, they said they're going to fill you up with all this white, sucky stuff, up from the backside.
Yeah.
It gets up in you, and you're going to feel like you want to explode. You're just going to feel like you want to get off that table and get that stuff out of you. So I get on the table, your butt's up in the air, and they put all the stuff in you. The guy, the radiologist in the other room taking the picture, he says, Spike O'Dell. There you are with your butt in the air, and a radiologist says, Spike, I thought that was you.
That's not that different than my story, really, when you think about it.
Yeah, really. And I said, yeah, that's me. Yeah. So, long story short, they do the test. They put that stuff in you. They turn you this way, that way, sideways. And then they said, all right, there's a restroom right over here. You can go over there and
take care of business.
So I could hardly get over there. I couldn't wait to get this out of me. So I go in there. This is the graphic part. I sit down, waiting to explode, and all that happens is that was it.
Did you
And I
feel
have no,
bad?
no, no. So I just thought, nothing's happening here. I went home. I don't know where that stuff went. I have no idea where that stuff went.
Magic.
I never exploded. But here's the kicker. Before I left, the radiologist comes back from behind the glass and has me autograph my colon.
Wow.
I autographed
Wow.
my colon.
And what did they do with it?
I just wanted to get out of there. I have no idea. Probably hanging on a wall in a restaurant someplace.
Well, it's an artifact. Hey, speaking of art, by the way, are you still painting?
Yes, yes. I'll go back to something else you just said. I just did a commission work for a guy. Strangest picture I ever painted. His two boys, their first experience at the trough in the men's room in Wrigley, and he took a picture of him from behind. He says, "Can you paint that for me?" So
That's a
yes,
pretty.
I did. Yeah,
That's a pretty cool dad. That is a pretty
yeah.
cool dad. When you never talked about painting when we worked together. Did you? Were you do have art talent as a kid?
I started dabbling a little bit about the time. I don't know about the time I went to GN really,
Okay.
and I would get. I had some watercolor paper and some watercolors, and I'd take them out and paint a picture every now and then, but nothing, nothing serious. But when I really started taking it serious was when COVID hit. We were locked in the house.
Sure.
Couldn't go anywhere, couldn't do anything. Thank God for Amazon. They delivered. I could get my products that way. And I would just sit in my little studio and paint all day long. Each one got a little better. I'm still not a great painter, but
No, your stuff's good. It's very good.
well, thank you. It does get better. It's like I tell everybody. They say I can't do that. I say, yeah, you can. Just keep going at it. You're going to make a lot of mistakes, but you'll learn from that. The next one will be better than the last one.
Yeah. No, the stuff's very good. Where do people see it?
I don't put it online in a web page because I sell most of what I post. Not most, but probably 60%.
But they can see samples. What, on your Facebook?
Facebook, I usually post one every day. I posted one, just today. Yeah.
Yeah, the stuff's really good. And that's a perfect segue bringing us to this. When I came back to GN in 2014, Jimmy DeCastro and I worked you hard, and Todd Manley as well. We said, Spike, it's time. Come back, do one show a week. Come back on a Saturday. Do a Saturday afternoon occasionally. Do a special here or there. And I give you credit because you politely told us again and again, I'm done. Do you miss it?
Honestly, no.
Good for you. Good for you.
There were times early on when I kind of did when a big story popped up or whatever, but honestly, I don't. I can remember a couple of weeks before I was going to have my last show and walk away. My producer at the time was little Jimmy Weiser, and he said he always called me Gordo from the Right Stuff movie.
Yeah.
We both love the Right Stuff. So he always called me Gordo, and he said, Gordo, he said, I'll bet you $50 you're going to be back on the air in a year. I said, Jimmy, you better pay me now because once I take the headphones off, I'm not putting them on anymore. Yes, I was asked to go back 2-3 times, to go back to Chicago. I was even asked a couple times here in Nashville to go on the air. Matter of fact, one of them just 2 days ago wanted me to fill in while he was on vacation. But I said, no, I'm done. I'm retired. It's hard to, in my mind, it was always hard to be able to, once you're greased in and you're doing your show and you're jamming and you know what to get, everything's working, everything's firing. You can't walk away, take all the toys away, and come back for a week and try to put magic back in the box.
No, it's true. That's 100% true. I'll tell you though, because we're a little different in this regard. Most of the time it was taken away from me. I didn't leave on my own. But the thing that was tougher for me or weird for me is I felt like I was really starting to get it. Like I was getting better at the job and I was getting better at doing it. And this whole podcasting thing, it's not the same, obviously, but it's good to have the platform to do it. And in the big picture, it was such a privilege to be at GN with all we got to do and all the things we got to see and the help we could provide people in a positive way. So I do miss a fair amount of that. But Sadly, the state of radio is such that it's never going to be anything again.
Yeah, it's I honestly I don't hear much radio anymore. I like I say I'm tired of hearing Boston More Than a Feeling or Good Lovin' by
Right,
the Rascals.
right,
I've
right,
played that
right.
1,000 times already. I don't
Come
want
on,
to do
come
it
on. You're
anymore.
like me. You still talk them up in the car. You still
Well,
do it.
okay, but don't tell everybody that. I did that. You know, it was fun. I loved it, but I'm done.
It's kind of amazing when you think about how long you did it, how long I did it, and how fast it was before it was over.
Yeah,
And I think when you love a job and you have a good time doing it, that's probably the case no matter what the job is.
I absolutely love my job. I like I tell people, I couldn't wait. There were days I couldn't wait to wake up and go to work. But in this environment, the way radio is these days, most stations are either syndicated. Uh, they pull the plugs on small town radio for the most part. It's sad, but and in the major markets there are exceptions, but a lot of it is just political.
Yeah, there's people screaming at each other.
Yeah, and you know what? My philosophy on radio was I wanted every listener I could get to listen. That was my job to get a
Right,
rating.
right.
So if I take a hardcore stance on the left or the right or whatever,
You're going to piss somebody off.
why you're just asking half your audience to go away.
Yeah, no, it's true.
If you keep doing that, you're just going to say, "Go! You're not what I am, so go away." You always hear people say, "Shut up and get off my phone." You know, on these political talk shows.
Well, I mean, that was the secret of Carson for all those years. You never knew politically where Carson was,
Yeah,
and it was because he never took a side.
I always tried if I could. I always couldn't, but I always tried if I could. If I had a really tough political issue of the day that we were talking about, I would go to the horse's mouth and get it there, and then I would try to go to the other side of the
Yeah,
aisle,
yep, yep.
get their case, because I always thought nobody wants me to shove my opinion down their throat. I thought they were smart enough to figure it out themselves.
Yeah, and because our through lines are a little bit different. I was still working when, and I don't want to get down the Trump road here, but I was because this is called anything but politics. But I was still working when Trump came along, and I was very passionate about the damage I thought he would do, could do, and is doing, and the platform meant a lot to me there. But people automatically assumed if you made a negative statement that well, then you're a Democrat, or or if you say something that's anti-democrat, you're a Republican. And I think it's one of the problems we have in this country. You're entitled to an opinion, and it doesn't mean you're one thing or another. It just means that's your opinion.
You know, Uncle Bobby, he was pretty tight with a couple of the governors and would actually even go down some weekends and stay down in Springfield.
In the mansion. Yeah.
Yeah. And after I got the job, tragically, I noticed the governor working on me. You know, he was wanting you to come down. In other words, to gain my favor. That's the way I kind of thought about it.
No question.
And I thought, no, I'm not doing that.
No, you made the right call.
Well, yeah, you absolutely did. I want to be able to call the guy out if I have to.
That's it.
You do something right, I'll praise you. You do something wrong, I'll nail you. Uh, that's what we and the media do.
Yeah.
We hold our leaders accountable. You may not like what we say, but that's what we do.
And that's what it's supposed to be. Even in the opinion game, or the opinion/entertainment game, we're supposed to call out the fools and call out the criminals and call out the bad guys in the business, whether it's Rod Blagojevich or whether it's Donald Trump on the other side.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we do.
So I know you're not coming back, but I know that fans are going to have a chance to hear something from the old days. Now, what is this bit from the old days that you are going to release?
Well, do you remember the Now You Know?
Sure, of course.
It was designed to be a little hook. I would throw it out there over the air, a little useless piece of information, a little piece of trivia, a little something hopefully you didn't know, but maybe you did, but if not, whatever.
I always thought is your rest of the story.
Well, actually, it was just a useless piece of information,
Or that, either one.
and I would throw it out there, and I would say, sick pig rarely curls its tail. And then we turn the echo on. No, you know.
Right.
I'd say, all right, sometime before this show is over, I want to ask you to call back, be the seventh caller, 591-7200, and I want to unload Wally's price cabinet on you. So,
There you go.
And it got to the point, excuse me, I'm fighting allergies. It got to the point to where it was a fun bit. It was really a fun bit.
Right. And people got to expect it.
And we did it for years. And the other day, somebody said something. Michael, my son, was here. Somebody said something, and I said, "No, you know." And he said, "Yeah, I remember that." I said, "Yeah." He said, "That was the stupidest thing I ever heard." Yeah, you're right. He says, "Dad, that's why I liked it." And then the more we talked, he says, "Let's revive that." I said, "No, I'm done." He says, "I'll do all the heavy lifting. I'll put them together. You just voice them, and I'll put them together." I said, "Okay." And the more I thought about it, I thought, that might be fun to throw it back
Sure.
on Facebook. I don't have any prizes, but it's just a stupid piece of information.
People will love it. People will love it. So when does the first one get released?
It was released 2 days ago.
All right. So this is August 1st. You got one out there now on your feed. And how often are you going to do it?
Monday through Friday, every morning.
Wow. It's like doing a show.
Yeah, kind of. Only my boy's doing it this time.
Yeah. You're a producer. Yeah. Ross Cochran produces this for me. So, well, buddy, it's great seeing you. And I'm glad. Yeah, give it one. Yeah, give it to me.
People don't know this, but the Beatles officially broke up at Disney World. How?
You
know.
Wow. Well, a lot of people, I've been to Disney World. Families get pretty tense. There's a lot of arguing. I didn't think standing in line for Space Mountain would be enough to break up the Beatles, but you never know.
That's where John Lennon, he was in the Polynesian Hotel. That's where he got the letter to dissolve the Beatles, and he signed it there, and it was official.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, the happiest place on earth unless you're a Beatle. So look for that on Facebook and the Spike O'Dell feed. Congratulations on everything, bud. Stay healthy, and I'm glad you're painting and all that. And one of the great honesties of Spike O'Dell in our relationship through the years is, I remember this, you won't remember this, but I remember I was coming through town a few years ago, and you managed to work in a conversation. Yeah, people come through a lot, and they always expect they're going to stay with us.
Yeah.
I went, Spike, I got a hotel room, man. It's okay.
That sounds awful to say that.
No, listen, I get it.
Thank God I have a lot of friends, but we're halfway between Chicago and Disney World, and they want to stay here. Hey, we'll call Spike. We'll go out to eat. Man, if I went out to eat with everybody that wanted to do that, I'd be fatter than I am now.
So I get it. I totally get it. I wasn't offended in the least, and I'm not offended now. But like I said,
I might make an exception for you.
Well, you would for my wife.
That's true.
Yeah, you would. Say hi to yours and your family. I appreciate you doing this, buddy. And thanks for being on Anything But Politics.
You're one of my best buds.
There you go.
I'm proud to know you. And I hope you're having fun with this. Thank you for just putting up with my stories.
Oh, you're the best. You're the best.
None of those are true, by the way.
No, nothing either one of us said. All right, stand by 1 second, buddy. Stand by 1